Welcome back to March Madness Analysis. Today we're going to break down the Big Ten Conference, and this is an elite conference. But before we get to our top teams, we're going to start at the bottom. At number 14, I have Nebraska. Nebraska last year had a full rebuilding season as they had a 7-25 overall record. They're losing their best player from a season ago in Cam Mack. However, they are returning some talented young players, and they're also bringing in a Pittsburgh transfer in Trey McGowens. They should be a little more competitive than they were last year, maybe winning some conference games. Fred Hoiberg is entering his second season as the Nebraska head coach, and he has had some success with Iowa State, so maybe he just needs a few years to develop his team. At number 13, I have Northwestern. Northwestern had a disappointing beginning of the year last year. However, as the season went on, they started to grow as a team as they upset Penn State. However, they are returning a very few starters from last year. They don't have much talent. They don't have much coming in. Their goal, almost as it was last year, is to play slow and wear teams down, and you should expect a down season from the Wildcats this year. At number 12, I have Minnesota. Minnesota is going to have a very good backcourt, Marcus Carr and Jamal Bashburn Jr. However, they're losing an excellent big man in Daniel Oturu. They're not going to be good down low this year. So teams may just be able to play aggressive on the perimeter with help inside. Rick Pitino, the head coach, is entering his 8th year at Minnesota. He has not had much success with the Golden Gophers, and he should expect another down year this year. At number 11, I have Maryland. Maryland's losing their two best scorers in Anthony Cohen and Jalen Smith. Their offensive production is expected to drastically drop. They're going to rely on Aaron Wiggins to lead the team. However, I think they're still going to have a down year, especially from last year's season. Head coach Mark Turgeon is entering his 10th season at Maryland, and he has consistently had success with the Terrapins, but somehow he's still on the hot seat, and this could potentially be his worst team that he has had. At number 10, I have Penn State. Penn State had somewhat of a breakthrough season last year. However, I think they may have underachieved considering all the talent they had. They bumped into the top 25, but folded once they became recognized last year. They are losing this year their star player and Lamar Stevens and a solid big man in Mike Watkins. They're returning two solid guards, however, in Jones and Dredd. However, I don't think it will be enough to recover from what they've lost. They are getting a new head coach this year, which actually previous head coach Pat Chambers announced just a couple hours ago that he was resigning. So maybe the new head coach will turn the program around a little bit. At number 9, I have Purdue. Purdue, two of their better players, Matt Harms and Nigel Eastern, announced that they were transferring this offseason. However, they still have optimism that they will be competitive this year. Travion Williams will need to lead the team. However, they're not going to have much depth. Head coach Matt Painter, this will be his 16th season with Purdue. He has had a ton of success with them in the past and always has his guys ready to play, so I think they'll be competitive, especially in conference play. At number 8, I have Ohio State. Ohio State finished the season last year 19th in the country. They're losing their best player from a season ago in Caleb Wesson, and they returned their second and third leading scorers from last year in Dwayne Washington Jr. and C.J. Walker. They're also bringing in promising transfers in Seth Towns and Justice Sewing. I could see them potentially doing some damage in the Big Ten. Head coach Chris Holtmann, in his 6 years coaching Power 6 teams, he would have made the tournament every year as the head coach. This will be his 4th season with Ohio State, and he'll have another talented team, and I can definitely see them making the tournament once again. At number 7, I have Indiana. Indiana is losing Justin Smith from last year. However, they're returning Trace Jackson Davis, who could potentially be the National Player of the Year next year, depending on how his season goes. They were relatively successful last year, and this year they're bringing in another top recruiting class, including an ESPN Top 100 number 27 recruit, Christian Lander. Head coach Archie Miller is entering his 4th season with Indiana, and he's expecting a big year out of his guys, so maybe they will have another breakout season, much like last year. At number 6, I have Michigan. This could be the most underrated team on my list, in my opinion. Michigan showed their skill early in the season, winning the Battle for Atlantis tournament, and that includes teams like North Carolina, Gonzaga, Oregon. They struggled toward the end of the year, but proved that they had talent on their roster. This year, they're going to lose Xavier Simpson, their star player, but they are returning Franz Wagner and Isaiah Livers. They're also bringing in the number 15 nationally ranked recruiting class, and they're also bringing in 4 solid transfers that should contribute to the team. Juwan Howard is entering his second season at Michigan. He had a successful first season, and this one may be just as good, if not even better. At number 5, I have Rutgers. Rutgers had a surprising breakthrough season last year. They would have made the tournament for the first time since 1999. They should come into this season hungry after a disappointing announcement that the tournament would be canceled last year. They're only losing 1 starter from a season ago, and they are returning their star player in Geo Baker, who's another candidate for Big Ten Player of the Year or potentially even National Player of the Year. Their whole team has talent, experience. They're going to be really good. They will have depth on their roster. They're bringing in really good recruiting class, including the number 53 nationally ranked recruit in Cliff Omoruyi. So they will have a solid season last year. They're expected to have a solid season this year. At number 4, I have Michigan State. They're going to have a very different style of play this year. They're losing Cassius Winston and Xavier Tillman, and they're returning many talented and experienced players. Rocket Watts should lead the Spartans this year. They're going to have a much faster pace of play. However, I'm not too high on Michigan State just yet. They're going to be a very different team competing with experienced and elite Big Ten teams. They were very disappointing last year throughout much of the season, and I expect maybe the same thing this year. Tom Izzo, however, is one of the best coaches in the country. He's entering his 26th season at Michigan State. He's made the tournament 22 straight years. He has 8 Final Fours and 1 national title, so coaching experience definitely won't be a problem for the Spartans this year. And in my top 3, I have all of these top 3 teams potentially competing for a national title this year. And at number 3, I have Iowa. This could potentially be the best team in Iowa's basketball history. They're returning Luka Garza, an excellent player last year. He's the favorite to win the Big Ten Player of the Year, and he's already a candidate and one of the favorites to win the National Player of the Year. They're returning 2 other starters that could potentially make the All-Big Ten team. They need to be better on defense if they want to win the Big Ten and succeed in the tournament. Head coach Fran McCaffrey is entering his 11th year with the Hawkeyes. He has plenty of tournament experience to potentially do damage come March. So in my opinion, Iowa pretty much has all the pieces to succeed this year. And at number 2, I have Illinois. Illinois had a breakout season last year, and this year they're returning NBA caliber players in Kofi Cockburn and Ayo Dosunmu. They return all of their starters from last year. They're bringing in a top 15 nationally ranked recruiting class, including 2 top 60 ESPN top 100 recruits. They will have plenty of depth, experience, and talent. Their goal should be a national title, and they will certainly be a contender for that this year. They haven't made the tournament since 2013. Brad Underwood, the head coach, is entering his 4th season with Illinois, and the only 2 things, in my opinion, that could hold them back from a national title are number 1, perimeter shooting, and number 2, coaching experience. Other than that, I think they have all the pieces that they need to succeed. And finally, at number 1, I have Wisconsin. Wisconsin's losing Brevin Pritzel, but that's the only player they're losing from a season ago. They're returning everyone else. They're one of the most balanced teams in the nation. They have plenty of depth, talent, experience. The Badgers will be led by upperclassmen this year. They're bringing in 5 solid recruits that should help them out and give them even more depth. Greg Gard is entering his 6th season as the Wisconsin head coach. He has had success in previous years, and I think this year is the year for Greg Gard. If there's one team in this Big Ten list that I have that could, Wisconsin is my number 1 pick from the Big Ten to potentially make the Final Four or the national championship or win the national championship. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of the list, and I'll see you next week.